Alright guys, and welcome back to the Saints View, the channel for Southampton content for another transfer rumour roundup video. We've been linked with another set of players for ins and outs, so let's just crack on and have a look at who Southampton are looking at. But before we get into it guys, do go and subscribe if you haven't yet already and turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing throughout this summer. A lot of exciting content coming out for the rest of the summer until the season starts, so don't miss any of that. And obviously we're on the road to 500 subscribers, so if you could subscribe it'd be massively appreciated and we can get there sooner. Go and follow us on our social media accounts as well, Twitter and Instagram, exclusive stuff on there, so give that a look. And yeah, let's just get into the video now. Starting off with a man who we've been linked with for a while now, like the name. It's been repeated a lot now. That is of course 22-year-old Che Adams of Birmingham City. We were heavily linked with the striker back in January, but Birmingham didn't want to sell halfway through the season. Obviously with the point deduction they needed his goals, and obviously they've stayed up now, which is good for them, but I think they'll be looking to offload their key talent, and he's definitely one of them. It's being reported by many outlets now, Daily Mail etc, that an £8 million bid has been rejected by Birmingham from Southampton, which is obviously a good move. We're going for the player, but we need to pay more, and I feel like for this one, any more than I guess 15 million would probably be pushing it a little bit. The striker is 22 years of age and scored 22 goals and recorded 5 assists in the Championship for Birmingham City last year, and to think that they were a bottom half Championship side and he got that many goals, very clear how good he could be. And it sort of screams Southampton, I guess, young player looking to go to a Premier League side, and we've seen a lot of Championship talent, English Championship talent that's young, come through in the Premier League and actually succeed. I think James Maddison's the best example from last season. You know, he did well at Norwich, but he did even better at Leicester and really proved that he could be in the main England squad. But I'd love to see Adams come. I think with the goals that he scored in the Championship, he could definitely be looking at double figures in the Premier League if he was given the opportunity. Of course, Ralph Hasenhuttl will give him the opportunity. He'll give every young player an opportunity at some point. But I feel like this one might be lasting the majority of the summer. I can't see Birmingham giving up so easily. It'd be nice if they did, because then we could get him in for pre-season and then he can have a whole pre-season with his new teammates and new manager. I'd be very keen to see what happens with this one. I'd be very keen to see Adams join. I do think a striker is vital to bring in. You know, Ings' injury record isn't great. His goals record is okay. I very much think he'll be our first choice alongside Redmond. If Redmond was to be played in a forward position, personally I think it'll be more wide. So we'll see what happens with Adams, but I'd be very keen to see him join the club. Now another Championship striker who we've been looking at is young English Brentford player Ollie Watkins. 23 years of age, so a little bit older than Adams. He scored 10 goals and 6 assists in the season for Brentford last season. And Brentford finished in a similar place to Birmingham, so similar sides in terms of quality, bottom half Championship. The stats would suggest not as good as Adams, but he does seem like the sort of player that we could do with as a squad player. Tall guy, so a physical striker, and if we brought him in, it'd be probably to replace the likes of Austin or Gallagher, whoever goes out, probably going to be both of them inevitably. At the moment, Sky are reporting that we've reignited our interest, but there are other Premier League sides interested. I think Sheffield United and Crystal Palace are the main ones at the moment. No fee has been quoted, but I can't imagine that'll be any more than £10 million. And if it is, then I don't think we should be buying him. I think if we are to go in for Watkins, it will be sort of as a bench player, coming on and off to try and make an impact, but I don't see him making too many appearances for us if he was to join. But a young player, we love English talent, young English talent that is, and if Hasenhuttl can sort of work his magic on him as well as a lot of the players that he's done so in the last season, then we will have a player on our hands. But we'll see what happens with this one. I do think it'll be more likely he'll go to a promoted side like Sheffield United. They'll need the goals more than us, especially if we're linked with someone like Adams. Now for an outgoing player, that is Matt Targett, who's been linked with a move to now Championship side Fulham. Now we all know about Targett's relationship with Fulham. He spent the second half of the 17-18 campaign on loan with them whilst they pushed for promotion and inevitably got it by winning the playoffs. But Fulham did come back in for Targett with I think it was a £15 million bid last summer, which I think the club, sort of in hindsight, were a bit naive to turn down. But now Fulham have been relegated. They're looking to improve their team to get back into the Premier League, and reportedly they are looking at Matt Targett according to some of the major UK news outlets. Now for me, I think if we can get the right money for him, we should let him go. I know he's an academy boy, but Targett hasn't really done much in terms of fighting for the first choice spot. It's always been a case of when Bertrand's been injured, he comes in, and then as soon as Bertrand's fit again, he's out. It's never been the case of he's been able to put Bertrand on the bench. And you know, he is still young. I think, what is he, 23 now? But he won't be wanting to be a Premier League bench warmer for the rest of his career. And I think if he did go to down a league with Fulham, a league in which he did very, very well, even though it was for half a season, you know, maybe that is the shrewd move for him to get promoted again and then be the first choice in the Premier League for maybe a worse side, but still being first choice in the Premier League. He has played a lot of football though this season with Bertrand's injury, and he's had moments of magic, but on the whole he's been quite underwhelming for me. I think some of his defensive performances have been no short of shocking, but he did put in a peach of a cross against Arsenal for that Ings header, and he also got his first goal for the club against Bournemouth, which was nice to see. I think he finished the season well, but when Bertrand was injured, yeah, he wasn't very good, was he? I think defensively, like I said, just not near good enough for the Premier League. So maybe a move down a league would be sensible, and maybe it is time to now let him go. However, that would mean we'd need to be looking at another left back. I'm not too sure on where the academy left backs are at the moment, or the under 23 left backs, that is, if we were able to promote a left back, but it probably would mean that we'd be looking to bring in a new reserve left back, as it doesn't sound like we'll be replacing Ryan Bertrand for a first choice spot this summer. So for me, I'll accept it if the bid was over £10 million. If it's less than that, I think he should stay, because clearly we need a backup left back, and he does the job well enough. We just have to hope that Bertrand isn't out for too long, because if he is playing about 20 games a season, then I think we can suffer a little bit as a result of that. But that is it for the video, guys. Do go and like the video if you have enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts on the upcoming transfer links. Do you think any of the players that I've just mentioned will sign? Do you think the two strikers that I mentioned will sign? And do you think it's time for Targett to go? Subscribe if you haven't yet already, and turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing throughout the summer. Follow us on our socials, and we will see you in the next video.